Should you hire a landscape architect for your custom home build? And what would a landscape architect do for you? Stay tuned. I'll make sure to answer that for you. Landscape architects. Wow, how critical they can be. Self-admitting right here, early days of me building houses. I grew up in the mountains of Western North Carolina, up in Burnsville. Grew up around people doing a lot of grade work, site work. Grew up running equipment myself. And we never had a site plan, a topo. You just kind of looked at it and you figured out where it was going, how the land was telling you, and just did it. Kind of winged it. Did a pretty good job back in the day. It wasn't until later in my career that I seen the real value of a landscape architect and what they could bring. So let's break this down. The answer is yes. Now let me give you the why. Landscape architecture. Number one, let's go with some of the benefits from just kind of thinking about this in broader terms. I was at a conference a few years ago. The speaker was Sam Rashkin, and he was talking about how landscape architecture is more important than architecture. And I will tell you, it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, no. So he kind of broke it down. And I won't do it as well as he did, but here it goes. He used the example up in Charlton Village, right outside of DC, if you're familiar with that. That's where Amanda, my wife, worked in DC for a while. We was married in the early years. And I'm very familiar with that area. Loved that whole section. And that was more commercial, but he had stripped away all the landscaping, the pavers, the benches, the trees, and that was some ugly architecture. So take it to houses. Think about the neighborhood in your town that's like the neighborhood, and like it's been established and people just think about it all the time. It could even be a new one. And it has so much more to do with the curb appeal. The curb appeal has so much to do with the landscape, the trees, plants, how the driveway is coming in. It makes such a difference. The bigger thing is that we don't need to go crazy with all these details on the house and all these crazy angles, which from a building science perspective, it can be a little bit of a challenge to make sure we're making them watertight, airtight, all of that, energy efficient. But it is the piece of the landscape. But let's back up a little bit more. Here's where I tell our clients the gold is with the landscape architect. We're in the mountains of Western North Carolina, right outside of Asheville here. What our landscape architects do, we get a 2-foot topo map, get it in CAD, get it over to them, start with collaboration with the architect, landscape architect, obviously our homeowners, and it's the grading plan. So we have a site plan, we have a grading plan, a landscape plan. Let's hold on the landscape plan, because that's probably what you think a landscape architect is going to do for you. You can hire them later, may not need one. I don't, like, well, I just need something to get through my review board, but we'll figure it out. No, it's the grading plan. It is really taking the earth and changing it and where we're going to sit the house, how it's going to work, how we're going to manage water coming from the house, water coming from down the mountain, the driveway, how the driveway should have a little curve to it. Where's the best position for the topography to put the house? Maybe we shifted a little bit here. And it's that grading plan that allows me to take it to my grader and get a true accurate cost. Because without that, we're just putting an allowance and we're just going to see what it comes out to be. There's no way to put a firm number on it. But this way also allows us to know exactly what to do. We can hold people accountable for doing it. That grading plan is so wonderful and so fantastic to have. I find it is one of the most critical items we need. Now, whether we building on a flat piece of land that's a 50 by 60 lot, probably maybe not as critical as for the topography we're building on. But it's that we find, and that's what we tell our clients, that's where you're going to find your biggest benefit. And we're going to get accurate numbers. We're going to know what we're doing. We're going to have a scope of work on that. We'll know how to handle all this. And then the beautification, the landscape plan. And most of the communities we build in are requiring that to be done and submitted before we build. And then we kind of modify it if things change as we build, and we kind of get everything graded out. Of course, I'm just going to let the landscape plan and what that be its thing. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. but that also allows us as a builder to actually put a true number in the cost. If you're going to a bank, it's better for me to get you a true number, 40,000, and then put an allowance at 20, and we really needed 40. And then now you're coming out of pocket with that. We have landscape budgets that go up to about 100,000 plus. What we found is that, it just puts the icing on the cake to the home, but it also allows us to put a hardscape in, plan ahead, know where retaining walls need to go. Also allows us to make sure we're managing water runoff, all those things, and just having that great curb appeal that we're looking for, because we're looking to build homes that are somewhat timeless. They're durable, resilient, but also become a fabric of our community. And you do that with great landscape architect. But don't underestimate the value of the site plan and the grading plan. How we're going to change the site, change the new topography, what trees are coming out. I didn't even think about the tree survey we get, so we know which trees we're taking out, which ones we're saving. How valuable is that? There's a lot I could talk about this. I think we've hit the points. Thank you for staying with us. Watch our video. Should I hire an architect? Or maybe watch the video, when should I start talking to a builder? We're here to answer your questions, and hope this has been a blessing to you.